All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Gospel of Comics with the Church of Failure and Ayrton McCarthy. McCarthy, how do you say your last name?
McCartney, like Paul.
Like McCartney, like the Beatle.
Yes.
We actually have some new intro music from our esteemed co-host here, so let's give that a go, and we will start that right now. No, don't play again. Stop it. All right. Thank you everybody for joining us. This is the Gospel of Comics. This week we have some very special guests with us today. We will be talking about Locke Key, Volume 1 and 2 by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez as the artist. And we have with us today Jesse and Becky from the Deadman Tome podcast. How you doing, guys?
We're doing all right.
All right. You want to give a little brief introduction as to who you guys are for people in the audience that might not know?
Yeah. So I'm Mr. Deadman, the Deadman Stone podcast, or Deadman Stone. What we do is we publish horror, dark fiction, books you want to read, like Monsters versus Nazis. Can't even say Nazis anymore. Can I say Nazis on the YouTube stream?
Absolutely.
I disavow.
Probably not.
Absolutely, you can say Nazis. We hate the Nazis. We are definitely opposed to the Fourth Reich with Jarbo Pesos and his Nazi army.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So we have a dog whistling anthology called Monsters versus Nazis, and then we have an ableist anthology called A Psycho Holiday, and then we just have like a meth fueled anthology called Bikers versus the Undead. So because biker meth.
Not to.
And then you have the shit fest.
We have shit fest.
Not to interrupt too much, but last week I was on a show with you guys, and we were interviewing an author who wrote Space Truckers. Did we ever get any more info on that? And when can I expect my review copy? Anyway, guys,
I'm sure that we can get that arranged.
Anyway, guys, we're here today to talk Locke Key. Volumes 1 and 2. Volume 1 is called Welcome to Lovecraft, so you already know you're in for some weird stuff off the get-go. Just a little bit of backstory. Locke Key is the story of Key House in Massachusetts and the supernatural...
In Lovecraft, Massachusetts. Sorry,
right,
nothing.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
Lovecraft, Massachusetts. But we're looking at the story of Key House, which has many enchanted doors and keys that work the locks and create all kind of weird sci-fi supernatural shit. Jesse and Becky have been so kind to read these volumes so that they can go over them with us today. So we're very excited to talk about this. Any thoughts you guys want to start off with? Ayrton, go ahead and jump in if you're conscious.
Oh, yeah. I just started drinking my first beer. I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, this story was wild. I could hardly put it down. It was just fantastic and intriguing and weird, and I enjoyed every second of it.
Me too.
Yeah, same here.
For one thing I can say is that the reason for that is our author Joe Hill is actually the pen name of Stephen King's son. And if you look at the bonus editions of the trade paperbacks that we went over, they actually have pictures of them. And my God, Stephen King spit this boy out of his mouth.
Yes, he did. Pretty much.
Before we get too far into it, I wanted to talk a little bit about the new backdrop. This is the first night we're using this. I think I showed you all guys before we got on stream, but this is the new backdrop for the Gospel of Comics. And also, I'd like to thank Becky for the thumbnail for tonight's episode. But we commissioned this backdrop from Atomic Denny, and it is absolutely amazing. You guys should all follow him on Twitter and check out his artwork and whatnot. But anyway, let's go ahead and get back to the story. Anything you guys want to start off with, like opening thoughts or anything like that? We're just going to kind of go through it issue by issue, so to speak, as far as screenshots go, and just talk about the parts around there, if that's good with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Let's dive right in.
Yeah, sounds good with me. How about you, Becky? Feel pretty good?
Yep.
Yeah. Man, just
The
straight from the
graphics in this and the story they're perfect together. They're absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The level of detail, or to detail, is just incredible. Man, good stuff. Good stuff. Of course, the whole theme, the whole atmosphere, they definitely have that creepy Lovecraftian vibe, but set in like in a modern setting. I totally dig it. But I think
I do too.
I think the part, especially like, do we want to go into already like the first book and go into like what was really rocking about that? What really stuck out? Because man, for me it was like when Bode was playing with the ghost key, that thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was crazy.
Well, I actually have a shot of that right here. The first thing I dropped up though is the origin, like the introduction to the book. Right there, you see Sam, the main antagonist of this particular arc, and his accomplice with the hand axe, the hatchet, right there, and the main character's father walking in. Basically, the introduction to the story is that their father was killed at their summer house by one of his former students, and the implication is that his mother was actually also sexually assaulted in that endeavor. I'll bring a shot of that up as well. But you already have within a few pages. I think this is page 11. Page 18, something like that. Within 20 pages of this story, you already have the dark imagery of just murder and sexual assault, and you already know that this isn't a comic that's for kids. So that's one thing that's a whole lot different.
Yeah.
Right.
That's one thing that's a whole lot different than your modern day comic books. Like we were talking about pre-Comic Code Authority stuff the other day, Deadman, on your show, and
that's right.
This is definitely something that would not make it past the Comics Code Authority. Am I correct?
Oh, no way! No way!
No.
Ayrton,
definitely not.
You and I weren't really familiar with one another at that time, but we talked about some of the themes that the Comic Code Authority had put down, that you couldn't have like crime themes, you couldn't have criminals winning any interaction, you couldn't have cops being, corrupt, you couldn't have scenes of murder or decapitation or tobacco use and stuff like that. There were literally, the federal government got involved to limit the amount of comic books that could get into people's hands based on the content.
That's ridiculous.
It is. I mean, you definitely can have scissors going into eyeballs like you do in this comic. I mean, you couldn't even have anything.
Right.
Censorship to the extreme.
Right.
Yeah, get cop.
Well, you could, but he had to be catching the bad guy, like, without fail.
Catching the bad guy. Yeah.
You couldn't have a cop doing something, bad. That's for definite sure.
Yeah, because you don't want people to think it's possible.
Yeah. And you probably couldn't have a kid just pass out and act dead. It'd be
Right.
pretty much lifeless.
Right. You couldn't show a dead child, I'm sure. Let's go ahead and jump to that. Like that's jumping over a few things, but we'll move back to those if we have time. Let's go ahead and move to the ghost section of the book. Here we have Bodhi discovering the ghost door. Now, the premise behind Key House is that there are special keys, and when you use them in their respective doors, things happen. This is the first real, introduction we have of that mechanic, and Bodhi, the youngest child of the Locke family, has found a key that opens this door, and when you go through it, your physical body dies and your spirit separates from the body. So this is where we kind of get the introduction to that. It's right at the end of chapter 1, right before chapter 2, I believe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love the way they draw like the ghost of the characters. It's
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's so cool. Like it's instead your typical like, oh, it's just you, but like whitish and blue, like the etherealness of it.
Right.
That
Is
is
really cool.
I was laughing because I thought maybe the way he just looks like he just dropped dead. Like what the hell?
Right. I
There's
believe
a
he
part where
I believe he talks about his body looking like a sock without a foot in it.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I've got a couple of more shots here of that particular incident, like when the beginning of chapter 2 there, while he's kind of like listening to his mother and just roaming around the grounds. That's his Uncle Duncan there on the chair. One thing you can talk about here as far as the plot line goes is that you see his mother becoming more and more a wine drinking alcoholic after the ordeal that they've gone through, having been sexually assaulted and watching her husband die and having to murder someone. So this has been a very serious situation for this woman, and she's coping with it the best she can, but you can tell that her entire world is kind of unraveling underneath her. But back to the whole ghost thing, we get another good shot here of him kind of moving through the walls, because obviously if you go back through the ghost door, you just go back into your body. However, if you just kind of roam around the ground, you can go through walls and windows and things of that nature. So you can go anywhere as a ghost. And he even talks about being able to think about someone and transport to them. So you see here he's thinking about his older brother, and he transports to him while he's taking a shower. And they even give us the detail that his corporeal form makes the water that passes through him freezing cold. So there's an implication that the temperature changes when a ghost is near you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
And I did find that kind of funny.
Right.
Yeah.
He also goes to visit his sister, and she's kind of thinking back to the time that she protected them from being killed by the killers that killed their father, and killed. How many ways can I say it? But she's thinking about that, and he goes to visit her, and this just kind of shows you the way that this particular key works, and gives you a little backstory on the characters in case you missed issue 1, which kind of happens a lot in the comic community. A lot of times issue 1 will sell out, so
I didn't really notice that. I didn't really notice like a bunch of exposition.
Just to kind of reintroduce you to the idea of why these can. When you see Tyler building the brick wall.
Hey, Becky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is your mic okay?
That got it. Something fixed it.
I think they could. Not sure.
But
I don't know. I jiggled the cord.
is yours rubbing up against your
I didn't
shirt?
do
'Cause
anything. I was gonna say.
that's usually what it is. If you're wearing a drop down. I believe that was actually a clause to doing this show is that he couldn't wear a shirt and he could only wear the left sock.
No shirt, no
Yes,
pants.
Pants were optional.
No shirt, no pants.
I did give
Wait,
him.
who told you you didn't have to wear pants?
That was
I was
I
told I
did.
couldn't wear pants.
Yeah.
guys. Stop.
I was
stop,
like, you wore pants.
stop selling me up the river here. I don't want everybody to know that I'm just a blatant degenerate. Anyway, I think the fact
Well, we're not all
that
gonna get in our fur costumes and
you're not already
Oh,
in yours. I'm trying to get
I'm about
Medicare
to
to do a
whip.
video on me. That's a joke. Medicare, please do not do a video on me.
I'm sorry. Can I just derail this for 1 second since he brought up furs?
Yeah.
Some freak came into my store today wearing a full leather black and blue dog mask, and I was terrified for my life.
Nice.
No.
I
Lord.
swear to God, Monday I will grab a picture from my security camera and post it on Twitter.
Fantastic. Please do that. I
See-
will absolutely show it on the show.
Wow.
We will host a contest.
Bullying served a purpose in shaming.
The first listener to write an adequate fanfic or draw a webcomic based on this character, we will totally do something for. But anyway,
Oh Lord.
trying to get the train back on the tracks here. I think that's a sign of good writing, is that you don't notice that you're having exposition given to you, but it's still there.
Mhm.
I would agree with that.
I think if I would have cut the first chapter out of the trade paperback copies that I sent you guys, if I would have just cut that first chapter out, I think you all would still have a great grasp on what was happening in this book. And I think that's just a sign of
and
great
honestly, to kind of chime in on that, like when I was reading over the stuff, right? I read the book 1 and book 3, 4, 5, and 6, but I skipped book 2 for some reason. I was like, I know I got it, but how come I'm skipping over it? But
you don't need
to
to read half of what the conversation topic is this evening. It's fine. You can just skip half of it.
Yeah.
It's great.
No, what I'm saying is, well, I mean that's not past. That's on my.
I forgot to teach you
college.
to count.
My classes. But what I was getting at is even going into book 3, not having read book 2, right? I was like, wait, I'm able to pick up. Yeah, there's new characters, but able to go. Okay, what's going on here? Okay, easy. It's very easy to get into it.
Right.
And then when I finally read book 2, I was like, oh, okay, that makes a little bit more sense. But I already had a pretty good grasp of what this key does, or what this character is doing. I think the trippy part is there's one particular character who's multiple characters. Is that right?
We're talking about this next character. I'll go in the well. For all intent and purposes, what looks like a tragic, beautiful woman in the bottom of a well who's stuck as an echo of their former self is the way we're introduced to them.
She's a trap. Just be
absolutely
she's a trap.
Just as a spoiler alert, yes, this is absolutely a trap. But
100%.
As we move forward in the story,
Don't talk to the woman in the well.
As we move forward in the story, we'll learn that she's not only the woman in the well, but she is she's actually the female version of a male character that was a friend of the Locke family's father, who's passed away. We will learn that this character has intimate knowledge about the keys, but is supposed to be dead like 20 years, 30 years, or something like that. Their nickname was Dodge, which is also
Dodge. Yeah.
The real name was Lucas. Lucas, very Italian sounding, Caragiovanno last name. I just called him Lucas Lasagna.
Yeah, I don't know if I pronounced that.
Yeah, I just called him Lucas Lasagna because I am a racist and I follow Jarvis Bezos in the Fourth Reich. Quote me in the article. Put me on the right wing watch. But
I thought it was Lucas. Forget about it.
that's right.
But
That's right.
Yeah.
No, that's
About it,
that's
yeah.
actually Dark V's real name from the Ralph Retort kill stream.
Yeah.
But
All right.
anyway, no, that's. I mean, where so far where we're at in the story. I mean, we're a little under halfway through. So, is there anything you guys want to comment on, like the first half of book one? Anything that?
Well, Becky, you got something?
Well, this is really all just.
I'm thinking.
It's really all just character development.
Well,
I'll even go just a little further with the character in the well, and say that after Bodhi befriended them, he brought them a care package of a mirror and a pair of scissors, and we kind of see some of the power that this character has in the next couple of pages.
Yeah, that scene right there, and you have that character with Sam.
Yeah.
And he's like talking to a toilet bowl. I was like, come on, how desperate is this guy?
well, they call him they call him what, a schizophrenic at that point?
Yeah.
I mean, he's in
See,
a.
no, what?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you first. Please, I insist. Age before beauty.
I was just gonna say, what stood out to me, especially at this point in the story, was just how well the children characters were written.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like they were believable.
Well,
yeah,
they're the main characters.
Like I could believe Bode is this little kid looking. Yeah.
They're the main characters of the story.
I think it's also.
Go ahead, Becky.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sorry. I think it's also important to mention that the father had told them that if anything ever happened to him, that they were to go to this house.
Right, to Key
and
House.
stay there, that they would be safe.
Right. He knew.
Yeah.
Right.
And
that they would be safe there.
As a theme of this show, it was only really that when he was wasted that he would bring up the fact that Key House was somewhat magical or somewhat special or something like that. His wife made very special mention to say that it was only when he was specifically trashed or hammered. And there's even a scene in this particular book. Again, like I've explained to Ayrton and our other guest host before. I can only take so many images from an actual printed comic book before it becomes copyright infringement. So I can't just go through the book page by page, obviously, and I can't just read the book to you on stream. I guess I could, but I couldn't show you every image of the book.
Well, we talk about it, you know.
But right, and that's where we're going here. The three that I don't have an image to bring up for this, but there's a scene in the book where Tyler, the oldest brother, and we've only seen him in the shower so far, so that's a little creepy. But there's a scene,
little Kevin Spacey, but
there's a scene where he is outside of his parents' room when they're kind of getting frisky, a little bit drunk. And you see his dad talking about it. It's one of two or three different instances where this happens, but he sits outside the door while they're talking about it before they get it on or anything like that. But I think it's interesting that they do bring that up, and it is a very good point of fact that you bring up there, that the father has always made mention that Key House would keep them safe. And as we learn later on in chapter 2, adults don't really recognize the magic of Key House very well. It's only envisioned in children, and when we get to the Head Key story, we'll really see that in practice, right? And that's how they keep Key House from being weaponized.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's because can you imagine if the grown adults like got all the keys. I mean, of course, that's part of the story. That's what's happening, right? That's what Dodge is doing. Dodge is trying to get all the keys or something.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah,
And you'll
raise hell.
you'll start to get a feel for why in book 3.
There's something a lot more sinister to that than the.
Oh yeah.
I
And
think.
you see
I don't
that-
know. I haven't read that much more. There's something a lot more sinister to that than Dodge just wanting the keys to.
So you're not
You're
not up to book 3.
There's a reason.
And
No.
I'm on book. I finished book 3. Got through book 4. But I mean, I know there's a little bit more to. I don't want to go into too much. At least not book 4. I know tonight we're talking about 1, 2, and 3, but it's just it's interesting. Like the drama, like when they were, I guess when the dad was younger. I mean, there was some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
they're like a key party. Take each other's wives home or something. I don't know.
Right. Well, let's not get too far into book 2 just yet. We're only about a quarter of the way through, or a little under half of the way through of book 1. We jump into the next scene where the mirror and the scissors come into play, and we see that the Echo has somehow magically teleported them to Sam, who is giving himself prison tattoos, it seems, in San Lobo Juvenile Detention Center. So, San Lobo, is that not in California?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a faraway place from Massachusetts. What?
Well, the killing didn't take place in Massachusetts. The killing took place in their summer home. And they didn't live at Key House either.
Right.
Now, we learn that Sam kills the father because he's been told by the Echo to find the Anywhere key and the key to the black door. He doesn't have any idea what the keys are about, what they're for, anything like that, but he's been enticed by this Echo character to search for these keys and told to get them at any means possible, which apparently leads to the murder of the Locke father. So he sends him this the scissors and mirror set, and we very quickly see them put to use. And this is one of the scenes you were talking about earlier when we got into the comics code talk. But this is where Sam just shoves the scissors into the eye of one of the security guards to escape from prison in California.
Vicious.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know why they didn't just shoot him though. The other guard didn't just. Well, I guess it was just one. It was just one guard, and the other guy was like a janitor or something.
Yeah, it was like a maintenance guy. It was
maintenance guy.
Right. And the maintenance guy was even like, "You're leaving me alone? Like, what's going on here?" And he was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Most of these kids are harmless." And then he gets stabbed in the eye with some scissors. So,
right.
I think it's what you guys in the writing community like to call dramatic irony.
Irony.
That sounds like a literary term. Let's go with it.
Yeah.
You know, just dramatic irony.
It's a literary term. But okay, there's one thing I want to say too about the Sam character. Is it just me? But especially later on, if you didn't see it in the beginning, does he look kind of like a cracked out Stephen King or something? Or was it just me? Like how messed his face looked?
Who are we?
I thought so too.
Who are we talking about? Sam?
Sam. Yeah.
I mean,
no, I agree with you.
I mean, this is Joe Hill's writing, so he could have been drawing off of a reference for himself as the murderer.
It could be him. It could be him as a murderer. It could be his dad as a murderer. If it's him, and knowing Sam's background, was Stephen King good to Joe? Oh
Well,
my God.
let's
Sure,
take a let's get real deep and psychological about it for a second. What kind of daddy issues do you have to write this book? Because Sam's dad beat the shit out of him. The Locke kid's father died. I mean,
Yeah.
there's there's all kind of daddy issues written all, and this is not a knock at Joe Hill by any means. This is an amazing
It's
comic
not.
book.
It's not. Oh
Like I
yeah.
said,
Yeah.
every one of you have told me that this was a kind of book that you opened up and you didn't even want to put down. So, and that's the
Yeah.
same way
Right.
that I felt about it when I read it years ago.
Yeah, it seems like the horror comic book version of becoming a stripper.
Now, what do you mean by that exactly? I'm going to need you on record for that one before I disavow it.
Oh,
He's talking about the life story of Pete
just-
becoming a stripper. Sorry.
there you go.
Um, but
No, no, I mean dad, like you said, the dad issues. So
Well, a lot of good artists have dad issues, right? I guess.
well, I mean, I think a lot of creators in general have just issues, and that's actually a pretty good segue because speaking of issues, the next character that we meet that's going to be a very important part of the story is the running coach, Coach Ellie. We
Yeah.
Yeah, we find out in the next panel that I'll pull up that she is actually an old friend of Dodge and Daddy Locke from the old days of Key House, and this is Kinsey on the running team, but she's going to become a big player later on in this book, and we get a shot of a yearbook where we see Dodge as who's listed as Lucas Caravaggio. Lucas Lasagna.
Lucas Lasagna. Like that.
But you also see that there were several of them, and we see a bracelet on Rendell Locke's arm that's the same bracelet that Kinsey is wearing. So we immediately know that's important because later on we're gonna see the running coach talking about it, and Kinsey says, "Yeah, my dad gave it to me. It's he said it's the key to being a whole person, kind of thing." So
what's the literary term for that?
I'll leave that to
the
our
key to being a whole
esteemed
person.
I was talking about the foreshadowing.
Yeah.
But
I was sorry. I was once again going through issue 1 or volume 1, and especially at the end, towards the end, just how good they are with the cutaways. It's like building up the tension, and all of a sudden, boom, you're going to the next scene, and all of a sudden, boom, it goes back to the next scene. It's like, man, come on. I remember when I was reading this, I was like, man, I'm on the edge of my seat. Like, what's gonna happen? It also changes. I was like, fuck, I wonder what's gonna happen with the kid in the well.
Yeah.
But then you have the guy, the psychopath, Sam. He's coming out. He's coming out from juvenile detention. He's a man on a mission to finish getting the keys. Oh my God, what's gonna happen? So
Right.
just
And
great.
It was one of those things where you knew you couldn't skip that section, even though you wanted to see what was happening in the one that you were reading.
well,
But that's a good thing, though.
I think a lot of that can be attributed to the idea of the way a comic book is created, which was actually outlined in I think the end of volume 2. They talked about how everything works, like you script the comic book. Let me look it up real quick.
They did that. They did that.
Let's do
They're
this
pretty
live.
cool about that. Another thing too, while you're looking that up, is that a cool reference that I noticed they had in all the volumes was like a breakdown of the keys, what they are, what they did.
Yes.
I was like, that's a cool reminder. That's cool because honestly, I probably wouldn't remember all the keys. Thank you for including that in there. I know one had like to break down the characters or names. I'm horrible with names.
Right.
Becky knows. You guys know. So I'm like, thank you for reminding me who Bode is. I'll just call him like the little boy.
Right.
You know, the drunk, the wino. Oh, yeah, that's right. Their mom. She has a name, Nina.
Nina.
Of
Yeah.
course, she has a name. Yeah. You know.
But yeah, I've got it pulled up here. It says that series illustrator and co-creator Gabriel Rodriguez, for the first time, shares the process involved developing a page of Locke Key. And there are 11 or 12 steps. 12 steps. So it's just like AA.
Just like AA.
Shut up. Get out of my head.
Damn it.
You've got the
I'm
script.
scared.
Yeah, we're that close in sync, and we've known each other less than a month. How bad?
Yeah.
You've got the script. You've got the page script, which means that I would write out, like, if you and I, Deadman, were planning a comic book, because I'm the graphic designer, I'm guessing you would be the writer. So you would write the script for the overall story, and then you and I would sit down together and we would plot out 22 to 28 pages of a standard comic book and plot out how much of that story we could tell in that book and break it down panel by panel. So you would tell me what I needed to draw and what emotion needed to be conveyed in that, and then we would work that from your script and move on. And then you've got the rough line work, which is where you just do your pencils. You do your final pencils, where you just go in and do a hard graphite line with transparency paper. You do your main outline.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about like inking and whatnot, where you
Yeah.
get your hard black lines. Then you go in and you add your detailing, like your cross hatching, shading, and your fine detailing, like hair and stuff like that. And then step 7, you detail the background elements and everything else, like your textures and whatnot. Scanning and cleaning the lines. Then you've got post-production definitive file, which, looking at the description, because I have no idea what that is, the final lines, and going back and cleaning up unnecessary line work, making the page actually appealing. And then you got approval, coloring, and lettering as the final 3 steps. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's not just some guy that just sits down. And I'm not saying that people out there don't do this, but most people take it for granted that some guy sits down at his desk and starts drawing something, and then he stands up and he's got a completed comic book 22 pages later. And there's a lot more that goes into it than that. Even on the panel we're looking at right now,
yeah,
it could very easily all be. Go ahead. Sorry.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I was gonna say, when you were talking about that a minute ago, and you said, they take, X amount of pages and they have to tell the story in this. One thing I want to point out is it's hard enough for a writer to take a novel and make a short story out of it. But I've taken a short story and done what they call one of the 100-word drabbles from it. And you have to tell the whole story in 100 words.
And nothing but the story?
That is not easy. Yeah. You have 100 words. That's all you can use to tell this story. And okay, it sounds easy. You can, 100 words, no problem.
No, I have a hard time fitting stuff into a tweet.
It's really, really difficult.
I have a hard time inserting a cuck joke into a tweet. Like, how am I going to retell an entire story?
Yeah, right.
In 100 words. I can't even explain to you how many ways some of these people on Twitter are cucks in 100 words.
Now, I want to know who thinks that Church and Deadman should now collab and write a comic, and me and Becky will review it.
Maybe.
Oh, man.
I'm ready. Oh, wait a minute.
Well, that's because you guys
Ethan
don't have to do
Ralph.
anything but
Midgets in
laugh
it.
at us.
Yeah, exactly.
We're the smart ones. What are you talking about? I like this idea.
Uh,
I'm
I
going
was
to
just
disavow
gonna
this
do,
idea,
like
Deadman.
no, I'm all for it. A drama comic, a
See?
drama comedy,
They-
a drama
they-
comedy about Ethan Ralph and Worski, Andy Worski, about being lovers and then haters.
Oh
It
no,
would have,
with-
no,
it would
no,
have,
we can't do that.
midgets
But
in it.
ooh, I know what we can do. We can talk about Mundane Matt's Fourth Reich.
Oh yes.
But all the
could-
characters have to be little people.
Right,
Made
right.
out of
You've
stone.
got
Midgets, yes.
right.
Yes.
You mean like Keemstar?
Yes, like a bunch of Keemstars could be in there.
It could be an army of
Keemstar
Keemstar
goes
gnomes.
back in time.
Those could be the
Keemstar goes
victims
back
of
in time
Mundane
and
Matt's
finds out.
Holocaust.
Yes.
All right, we're getting off the rails here. We're getting off the
Hitler's all
rails.
alive.
We're
Hitler-
also
Hitler
press
was
Y,
alive.
press Y in the chat if you want this to happen.
we're getting
He-
off the
he
rails
really-
and we're about to be deleted off of YouTube. Ayrton, please don't. Just don't.
Okay.
Chat. Just don't.
I'll stop. Stop.
All right,
But, you might
I'll
want to ask
disavow
Monday Matt
myself.
about how. No, I'll stop.
But just to kind of get back on story, we've got the yearbook photo here, and we'll come to learn that all of these people in this photo, we're going to see this photo several more times over the course of the story. Just even in the first two volumes, I think you see it at least once in every volume.
Yeah.
But
It was looking at that photo that was like, wait a second, there's something going on here with this group. I wonder if they have some private parties, some swinging going on, you know?
well,
I don't know.
you also get a little bit of back
Lord.
history. You get a little bit of back history on Sam as well, and you see that he is literally what people on the internet describe as an autist. Like he is socially dysfunctional.
Yeah.
He has no idea how awful he has it, and his coping mechanism has become murder. So, I mean, you see his mom ignoring him, you see his dad beating the shit out of him, you see him getting a jockstrap shoved in his face, and then you see him talking to the counselor, and the counselor's like, well, your scores are great, but your emotional health leaves a little bit to be desired.
You
And
need to get help. Son.
know,
you need to get help.
right, you kind of get where the recipe for destruction comes in. So, by the way, just as a heads up, I told the guys in chat that we would do our very best to answer some questions or some comments after we get through volume 2, if everybody's interested.
Okay. Cool.
So,
All right, I'll try not to derail us anymore.
I mean, don't lie.
Derail.
That's what makes the show fun.
I mean, all the Deadman Stone podcast is one giant derail. Yes,
Right.
one question. what goes on.
Well, I mean,
Hey, I said
And we
try. I
have
didn't
no
say I'd
clue how that
succeed.
happens.
No.
now at this point in the story, and after we get through going through Sam's past, Bodhi has caught on that the Echo is not a good actor. Bode knows that the Echo is a bad guy.
Mhm.
And
Literally a dude.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Right, Paxson,
Wait,
right.
will
Look
we
at
get
that
kicked
image.
off of YouTube for misgendering a comic?
It's I think
No.
I think she identifies as a he, so I think it's a dude. Yeah, we call her a dude. We'll call it a dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, technically, this is a good chance to explain one of the other keys that I forgot the name of.
Oh,
That-
the gender key.
Yeah, was it just gender key? I thought it was.
Looking at
the social construct key.
yeah, it's called the gender key. The description of it,
Okay.
which is all written in like 1700s English, says, "My sister, or should I now say my brother, fights the shadow war with Crace in the streets of Boston whilst I am home, like a helpless maiden praying to the Almighty. for her safe return. When I first fashioned the key, I imagined she might transform to a boy to protect her, if necessary, from the unsavory lust of Englishmen. Should the king's foot soldiers return to Lovecraft to abuse God-fearing women, never did I think
You
she would
know,
have willing cast off the wardrobe from her femininity for this rugged liberation among men.
Sexist Joe Hill. That's what's going on here. A woman has
Oh,
to
No,
Lord.
he was just ahead of his time, Jesse. He knew that men were going to become women and women were going to become men.
Yeah.
He's just forecasting the future.
That's what's going on.
But does anybody want to talk about what's going on at this portion of the story after Sam's escaped, and how he might have made his way to Lovecraft, and some of the things that we have to disavow he did to get there?
I'm surprised you didn't pull up the shot of the truck driver scene.
We had a truck driving artist guest the last time. I was on the Deadman's Tome, and I figured it was too soon.
All right, fair enough. And Phoenix might have felt personally attacked by that image, anyways.
That is correct, and I'd like to have him back on to argue with people who actually like Batman. I mean, I think we can make comic blood sports happen. But what we're referring to is that to make his way across the country, Sam filleted a truck driver and killed a bus full of people, and then shot a ferryman.
With a baby. There was a baby on the bus too.
Oh yeah,
A little kid.
Oh yeah, definitely shot a baby. That happened in this comic book.
Yeah,
that's.
I was looking real hard to see if I could find the dead baby, but I couldn't find the dead baby. But the mom was dead, so the baby's dead too. That much you could probably imply.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the sexual assault. You don't want to show it because you still have a soul, but you want to imply it.
Yeah.
How bold of you to assume I still have a soul.
You're a musician. Nobody's assuming that, sir. Nobody knows. Nobody here knows where you've been, and no one wants to.
That's probably true.
But at this point, Sam is basically on the property of Key House, even though there are armed guards on the land side of it. So
not doing shit, not doing their job.
Well, they're definitely not guarding the water.
No.
But that pretty much leads us into the final chapter of Volume 1. Sam has knocked out Kinsey with a flashlight. You can see that she's still wearing her key bracelet. He has Tyler held at gunpoint, and Mom is telling Sam that she knows that the Anywhere key and the Omega key are in her bedroom wardrobe. So Tyler shuffles off with Sam to go find those, and this is all just a very bad attempt for Tyler to try and get his hands on the gun. It's at this point that we learn that Sam's gun is unloaded. So
yeah,
that's the dumbest thing that the mom could have done, which tells you that you should never try and handle a crisis as an alcoholic.
No.
You'll just give bullets to the guy that doesn't need them.
Exactly.
But
alcoholic versus meth head, who's gonna win?
Definitely the alcoholic.
Yeah.
They have more practice. Meth kills you faster.
Yeah.
Who wants to watch that pay-per-view?
I've already pre-ordered it. I will buy you all copies for Christmas. We will send them out in gift cards. But basically, we've come to the end of this story, so we're starting to get a payoff for what we've been going through here. We only have a handful of shots to pull up left for this particular volume. We come to find out that the Echo, Dodge, Lucas, and as we'll come to know as Zach, has been manipulating all of these events. He, while he has Bode captured, he convinces him that he will save as many people in his family as he can if Bode goes and finds the Anywhere key and the key to the black door. Well, he's only able to find the Anywhere key. So, with time pressing the way it is, we see Dodge exit out of the well house. During this time, Sam gets the upper hand on Tyler with the pistol that was in their mother's drawer.
Yeah.
And Tyler ends up going through the ghost door and dying, as far as Sam knows. Now, Sam doesn't know anything about Key House, so he drags his dead body and then wakes up Kinsey. Well, at this point, Tyler goes back through the ghost door. It's
Tyler's first time, right? Is Tyler's first time going to the ghost door? Yeah.
Right.
We should probably mention that Bode had tried to tell Tyler about it.
Yeah, he even drew like a comic book talking about it.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
And scared the shit out of his
No
teacher.
one takes him seriously.
Right. And his mom was just like, just don't talk to people about this stuff. That's the biggest problem with all of this, is that this kid is constantly being told, while weird shit's going on around him, he's constantly being told, just don't say anything about that. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
So,
which is weird, because the mom should know, but because she's wasted, right? She's wasted out of her mind, so she should know.
She's an adult,
right? I mean,
well, she's an adult. She can't. That's the thing. That's the
Yeah.
magic of Key House. Adults have no idea. They don't, and you see that in book 2. It's not really explained very well here.
Yeah.
But you see that in book 2, and we'll talk about that. I think I have a shot of that, or at least a shot that leads into that conversation. But
well, I was thinking how like Randall would remember when he's kind of wasted, but I guess he gets happy drunk.
Well, it's bringing up old memories.
Well, and Nina was never a part of Key House. She was not part of that original troupe, I should say.
Married in, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, Tyler revives and tackles Sam. And eventually Kinsey gets her hands on the gun and shoots Sam. And then we kind of cut to the coach's house, right? And you really have no idea when you start reading these panels why the coach is involved. But you see Dodge at her front door. And at this point, he's shoved Sam's dying body out the ghost door. And when they collect your body and carry it too far away, you can't just get back into it. Once you're dead, as long as, like, if your body expires while you're a ghost, you just die. So that's what we're left to believe has happened with Sam. Sam is completely dead, and his ghost is now just haunting Key House. And you see that in the fact that his ethereal form is a different color. But,
Right.
We're reintroduced to this coach, and she immediately recognizes Lucas, Dodge, whomever you want to call him, Echo, as a male who's used the gender key, and made a rather snide comment about having balls again. I still don't think you can call yourself a man with that haircut, and it's not any better when it gets cut short.
And the eyeliner.
No.
Right? And
I mean, it's
being proud of being good at fencing, like, oh yeah, I can stab somebody with a non-lethal sword.
Hey, I did fencing in high school. It's fun.
You also have long hair too, don't you? We're just checking him off the lip, buddy.
Yeah, he sounds like a man that has long hair.
But
hey, I'll just put it out there. I'll just put it out there now before someone digs it up. There's definitely a picture out there somewhere of me in a red flowery dress playing the drums.
Oh, all right.
Well,
Yeah.
he's playing the
That would make
drums.
a great caption contest picture.
He's playing the drums though, so that kind of excuses any of the discretion. I mean,
No.
Nick Fuentes would definitely have him thrown in jail for that, but I think we can forgive it.
Mm. Yeah.
No.
I think we can. It's being
Really?
confident in your manhood. Is that what that is?
Yes.
Is that what that is?
It was more where I was playing. There was like a theater like costume like box thing, and we were fucking around, and I found the dress, and I thought it would be fine to put it on over my clothes, and before I was playing the drums.
You were fucking around, and you wanted to put on a dress over your clothes. Okay, all right. I'm trying to figure this out.
Yeah, just no, no.
But
This is gonna go bad, really bad.
Oh yeah.
we,
Now.
we pretty much end up with the Sam dead and his ghost haunting Key House, but nobody knows that except Dodge. And Dodge essentially inserts himself into being friends with Tyler and is here introduced to Kinsey. Now, as soon as Bodhi sees him, he immediately recognizes him, but he doesn't say anything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at the
Yeah, I
end,
noticed that too.
at the end, we see him fishing up a key out of the lake or the pool or whatever it is behind the house, and it's the head key. And then we get the essentially to be continued ending there, and that leads us right into volume 2, which is head games.
Yep.
So
Head game.
if anybody wants to comment on anything about the first volume or anything of that nature, now would be the time before we get into the second volume.
See what I liked about that first part is it was kind of vague enough about what was going on to keep you enthralled, but then the lead in and once you start head games, it like just goes all out wild with the craziness and
Yeah.
just like sucks you right in.
Right.
I thought it was like the perfect way to like lead into all the crazy shit that happens in volume 2.
And you and I have read comics for a while now. At least, you've read them for at least a decade, if not more. And
Yeah.
I've read comics growing up my whole life. So I've read comics from every era, starting back in the 30s. I've read Detective Comics number 27. I read Action Comics number 1 in reprint form. But, I've never read a comic book like this before from the mainstream superhero universe.
Right.
That literally felt like reading a novel from cover to cover.
Right.
You really only get this style of writing from independent creators, and I think that's one thing that's gone highly undervalued in the industry, is that there's so many stories like this out there that have the literary qualifications to excel. Like, one thing that I harp on, and this is going to be kind of a side rant, and I apologize, but a lot of times if you ever pick up a paper and you start reading the paper, do you ever just get pissed off that it feels like it's been written for an idiot?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
Daily.
then you read a magazine and you can tell the magazine editor and publisher have them dumb it down to like a 6th grade reading level. That's the average reading level of printed media.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case in comic books. Comic books constantly challenge your vocabulary. They constantly challenge your vernacular. They make you get out your dictionary and your thesaurus, and they make you learn new words.
And how to pronounce names.
No, you just call him Lucas Lasagna. That's directly on orders of Matt Jarbo, Mundane Matt. Quote him in the article. But
leader of the Fourth Reich.
That's
correct. You got to put that in there.
Right.
Possibly was the real Hitler. If you look back in the history books, you look for the truth.
Right. If you've ever seen what's that, Kung Fury,
Oh,
the
I love that movie.
yeah, the masterpiece,
Yeah.
the cinematic masterpiece with the $6 quadrillion
great movie.
budget.
That explains the laser raptors.
Right, and you learn that was actually a historically accurate film. Hitler actually did go forward in time, so he's truly a
That movie's
menace
great.
that we all have to worry about. But
Mhm.
since it's not a issue we have to deal with right now, why don't we get into Volume 2 of Locke Key Head Games?
Sure. Volume 2, Head Games.
Yes.
So
A good Foreigner song, by the way, too. Head Games. I mean, I don't know.
Exactly. I wouldn't heard it.
where
Yeah.
do we want to start off with this one? The opening scene I have for it is the teacher that was featured in that yearbook photo, Joe Ridgway, the theater teacher.
Yeah.
Can I actually? No, never mind. I didn't have that in the first. My bad. We're not there yet. But he recognizes Dodge, and he calls him Luke, and Dodge looks at him, even though he's told everyone that his name is Zach Wells, and that he is a cousin of the running coach. This professor recognizes him as the old kid from when Tyler's dad was a kid. And he can't believe that it's a coincidence that the genetic double of this older kid is hanging out with the son of the best friend of the older kid. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
Just these 4 panels explain, without even having to read the words, you see exactly what this kid's recognizing, or this old man's recognizing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's powerful right there.
And I think it speaks to literary storytelling, like the fact that comic books give you the opportunity to show and not tell. I honestly think
Right.
that's a point over novels. Like, a good writer can
It is.
Well, a
It
good
is.
writer can create an imaginative setting for you to have in your head, and that takes talent in and of itself. But the ability to literally have complex artwork like this that depicts the mood and the entire story without even having to read words, I think that's something that, again, is just highly undervalued in our society. Ayrton and I both have the mentality that comic books are our modern day mythology. They're like the hieroglyphics of our era. I feel like that even once our spoken language dies, you'll still be able to decipher the stories that were told in comic books based on the pictures and the sequential artwork.
Well,
Yeah, there's definitely merit to that. Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and what's interesting about that is pretty much nobody is good or is great at reading. We don't read as much as we take in pictures. That's what sight is. We see things visual,
Well,
and being able to tell the story through this visual. Go ahead.
I mean, words are just pictures in a sequence. I mean, the word church, CHRUCH, or CHURCH, excuse me. I don't know how to spell my own name. That in itself is nothing but a picture of 6 other pictures side by side in a sequence that my brain recognizes as the word for a place of worship. So,
Right.
I mean, that's the only way that we can read, is that we associate those pictures with meaning.
Yeah, and to try and say, like, comic books are for kids or something. I mean, just
this book
look at
right
that.
here proves that.
It's
Right.
right.
But speaking of kids, that's a great segue. We check back in the running coach's house, and we find out about her son, who, I mean, is obviously mentally handicapped, but his imagination is that he can hear his action figures talking to him. And we find out exactly how special this kid is and how potentially important he is to this story. We don't know how yet, but how potentially important
Yeah.
he can be to the story by the end of it. And I've got a shot of that to bring up. So don't forget this kid.
Now, I will have to. Now, about this kid, about Rufus.
Right.
Am I the only one who sees like a combination of Chris Ray Gun and angry video game nerd? Am I the only one who sees that?
I honestly thought it was the nostalgia critic without his hat on.
I'm going to avow both of those statements.
There you go. But you know, everything that he says and everything that he hears his action figures say, you can kind of see that it's code for what's going on, but it's how it's worked into his imagination and his way of thinking. And
I thought that was a really cool like take on that sort of thing.
Right.
Can't think of the word.
Well, just that narrative, just that piece of storytelling narrative. But Dodge is constantly telling the coach, his mother, that, you know, it doesn't matter what he hears, that, you know, his disability is going to keep him from understanding anything they're talking about. Even though this kid's still a child, so he can obviously see the magic of the keys and comprehend it for what it is.
Yeah.
And you see in this screen right here where the two action figures are the only ones in the shot. The middle, I guess, the middle screen left channel is the speech bubble that they're calling Dodge the replicant. So this kid's already identified him as an entity that's not to be trusted.
Yeah, that's right. Which puts Zach on his toes and all that.
Well, not really. I don't think he realizes it at this point. Now this.
Well, not at that point, but yeah, later.
This right here is one of the most beautiful double-page spreads I've ever seen in my entire time reading comic books.
Which one?
What I've got up on screen right now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
That is. This is the professor kind of reminiscing on the time where the Locke father and his friends were all comparative, you know, still alive and in theater and whatnot together from that yearbook photo that we looked at earlier in Volume 1. And you see, you know, Rendell Locke in the bottom corner, and you see in the top corner Lucas. And they both, you know, one looks like an old man, the other looks like a gladiator. The girlfriend of Rendell has wings. You see all these shadow creatures like lining the stage and the backdrop. All of this is key magic.
Yeah.
That we're going to learn about. These are all effects from keys of Key House. This is not stage props. Nobody's on any kind of wire. All of them are controlling these magical keys that are granting them these abilities. We've only seen the effects of one key so far, maybe 2, 3. Nothing really major either.
Yeah.
We've seen a kid change his gender and a key that can go anywhere, which is cool, but I mean, it's not really special. We've seen that trope before many times. The ghost door is the most interesting door we've seen so far. But to think that all of these are keys, and I know this because I've read the entire series. Your average person is definitely not going to know this looking at it from the get-go, but just take in this beautiful artwork for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
It's very good. I like the level of detail.
Right.
And yeah, you're right, because you see like the shadow creatures which come into play later on, the one particular key, and you get the door. You can go anywhere.
But no, I had to pull that out. I just called that screen the past play. This is when the professor is reminiscing on how he knew Lucas, and eventually that's going to turn to this scene where Lucas goes to kill the professor for recognizing him, and you see him and the coach basically set it up that this is a suicide because he missed his wife. They send out a mass email to everybody, and the ongoing investigation, which features the policeman from Volume 1 who was looking for Sam. So we see also that police officer is going to be a recurring character at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But they discover that there was foul play involved because I think they find the broken shard of glass. So already, like you guys were saying, this book just kicks it into high gear. So much has already happened, and literally this is page 26. We haven't even gotten to past the prologue. This is the introduction. So we go into chapter 1, head games, and you see Bodhi with the head key, and he's trying to figure out what it unlocks, and he's trying to stick it in every door he can find. And he eventually just is standing there, and you see the keyhole on the back of his neck.
Yeah.
So.
Did that give anybody else like kind of chills?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it did me. It was pretty weird looking.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
Right, and you don't even really understand what the implication of this is yet at this point in the story, but just the idea that we've got a key that can unlock people's heads, people's thoughts, or whatever. It's just insane. I mean, it's already opening you up to the amount of possibilities, and then just going back, I'm going to go ahead and pull it back up real quick. The shot from the end of Volume 1, just looking at those keys, I mean, we've seen, like I said, at this point, 3 or 4. So we have no idea what's in store with all of these keys. And if all of them are even half as wondrous as what we've already seen, you know you're already in for a great story.
Oh,
yeah. That's right.
So,
and the head key was amazing too. Like what was when he used it, and you get to see what's inside his. First of all, I love how the way the family reacted when he showed. Hey guys,
I'll pull up a shot of this real quick so everybody will know what we're talking about.
I love that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sister and brother, they're freaking out. The mom's like,
doesn't she say something just like casually?
She's like stop doing that with your head, honey.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes people uncomfortable or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Mom.
It makes me feel strange.
But
yeah.
You know, the next shot that I'm going to pull up, I didn't announce it. I'll go ahead and pull it back up. But this is his brother and sister looking inside his head, and you actually see him beside them looking into his own head, because that's how this key works. You can look inside your own head and pull stuff out or put stuff in, even though it's your head.
Now, I also love how Kinsey just looks at him and goes like, "Can you stop looking inside your own head? It's freaking me out."
Right.
Right.
But one
yeah,
thing,
I giggled when I read that part.
One thing I want to touch on, and I might actually go ahead and spoil a little bit of the end of the book. We'll come back to this shot as well, but this is the inside of Bodhi's head. Like, he's a young kid. You can see how colorful and vivid his imagination is.
I love it. It's so cool looking.
And we're gonna change from that, and we're gonna look at the inside of Tyler's head, his brother.
Yeah.
I pulled up the wrong image. I boomered this up. I'm gonna have to pull it up live on air. But while I do that, it just kind of goes to show you what the idea of, just make that fit the screen, and there we
How
go.
they outgrow the magic.
Right, like you can just see the color, and like there's still some color there, but you see how dark and foreboding it is because he's on the cusp of adulthood. And
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah.
you know, all of the vivid lore, and these kids have both gone through the same thing. The difference is well, this kid's had to beat the snot out of the kid that just killed his dad.
Yeah.
Right.
But still, both of, you know, and you see right in the bottom corner, he constantly thinks about tripping in that paint and almost getting them killed. But, and then you finally, you know, you get to the end of the chapter and you see the inside of an adult's head, and the only thing that's in color is the memory of Dodge's echo that he implanted in her.
Yeah.
As an adult,
That part
everything's
was
in
weird.
black and white. There's no imagination, no creativity, no happiness left in her head.
Well, how can you be happy with all the tax? You realize you're paying taxes and you're living through the same mundane life over and over again. It's the same shit.
You can't.
You're just waiting for the sweet meteor of death to come.
You
Yes.
can't assault
Yes.
SJWs.
You can't say the wrong word. You can't have fun anymore.
But that's kind of the highlight of the head key. But this entire chapter goes through them taking stuff out and putting stuff in. Like Bodhi puts in a cookbook in his own head. That's
that was funny.
Right. Yeah, he
So
shows
now he'll
up.
be the chef for
And
that
he
house.
knows, and all of a sudden he knows the entire recipe for fettuccine alfredo.
Right.
And he rattles it off to him.
But he doesn't understand that fractions don't read as 1/4 cups. That's
Right.
one of the fine tunes.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the end of the issue, he walks past his mom and he's just like, just a cup of that once it gets boiling, or just one TBS once it gets boiling. And she's like, TBS?
And she says,
tablespoon?
Tibbs, yeah. She's like, what is that?
But that's kind of how it works. Is anything you put in, you can recite down to the UPC code on the back of the book.
Man.
Yeah.
I would love to have that. I mean, that ability just to put, man, you put knowledge into your head. That'd be great.
Oh Lord.
Now,
what would you do with that, Becky? If you could just put any book in your head, what book would you put in? Like, you wouldn't have to read anymore. You just put books in your head. That's all you have to do.
But I like to read.
Well, like,
you could read everything.
You could get all the knowledge. You get all the knowledge of the book in like pretty much 1 minute.
Yeah. What would happen if you
I would be one hell of a popular reviewer.
What would happen if you put like 7 million ebooks on a USB drive and dropped it in there?
Oh shit, that'd be overload.
Would you know kung fu?
Could you fire yourself? Hey, that's one thing about this. With this head key, could you overload yourself? Could you OD on knowledge?
I mean, that's a hell of a question.
I wondered.
Oh man, could you OD on knowledge?
But you know, it would be kind of cool to be able to take some stuff out.
Right, and we actually let's see here. Yeah, we have a shot of that. That actually came up. Kinsey decides she wants to take out her fear, and her sadness, and she puts them in a bottle. And the fear stabs the shit out of her. And
what does she say about it? Oh, look, it's a smiley face on my thumb.
It's surprised. My thumb is surprised.
Yeah.
One thing that I do want to point out, and you know, again, because of the 6-page rule, I didn't take too many screenshots of this. But fear is wrapped in a newspaper, and all the headlines keep changing to different terrifying things from page to page, and I think that's a nice little touch. I mean, that was really nice for me.
It is, and also the fact of where they're talking about that they were one of them was riding the other one.
Yeah, I think that's how it's supposed to go, right?
Right.
I'm triggered by that.
Leave it to me.
Phallus.
Lord.
Now, before we get too far into this, one part of Volume 2 I do want to touch on is we met Duncan before, but Duncan is the uncle of the Locke kids. He's their father's brother, and he was about Bodhi's age when his father was playing with the keys before they hit him. So he recognizes Dodge. I keep calling him Doge, like the meme. And you guys haven't said anything about it, but Dodge.
No.
I appreciate you letting me make an ass of myself. I'll just delete the stream.
Oh, it's no problem.
Pretend we never worked together. Delete you on Twitter. False flag you on Facebook. My name is Matt Jarbo. Quote me in the article.
Bad block.
Can somebody pull up the Enigma encoder? I need to call them a name.
I got it right here. Let's just call him.
You want to call him a dish delay?
Dish shit on us.
Yeah.
All right. Connection successful. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. I blame OBS and YouTube.
Man, OBS is a real downforce today.
I guess Matt Jarbo heard his name on his Google alerts and attempted to flag us. But I think we are.
What a wonderful delight.
I think we are still here. Let me make sure that we are here. I'm gonna reset the. There we go. Yep, we are live. We have.
You know, looking at that image again of the two, like, I guess the nightmare was the fear and sadness with fear riding on top of sadness.
Hold on.
The way
I think Matt Jarbo might have flagged us. I mean, not for real, but maybe.
All right, quick, rattle off the 14 words.
We must secure the existence of our people and a future for.
I don't even know. Man.
It's still saying we're offline for some reason. What's going on here?
Offline?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's Jesse's fault. We're blaming Jesse.
That's right.
When you stream, it says offline. It doesn't go on.
Yeah. When I'm gonna have to restart OBS, I guess. God damn it.
What?
I'm gonna
check your channel. Are you good?
I'm on my live. There we go. Stream is resumed. Sorry about that, guys.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Technical boomer difficulties. I don't know how much you heard, but you might have got a nice little clip out of that. If you did, congratulations. It will be the end of me in like 4 or 5 years when we have a Democratic president. But if you didn't, I'd just like to welcome you back to the Gospel of Comics and apologize for my technical difficulties.
It happened.
Anyway,
I was just talking about how when fear is riding on sadness, it definitely looks like she has a big phallus sticking out from her. It's just crazy. Like she's teabagging sadness. Fear teabagging sadness over here.
I mean, you're not wrong. And I think there is some implication with the stabbing of fear that we're supposed to take.
Yeah.
It's definitely
By the way,
this relationship.
Fear has a wicked gue. Like that tongue right there. Like,
hello, HR.
Becky. Hey Becky, what would you do with that tongue? I mean,
maybe join an '80s hair metal band with face paint and great boots.
I am not telling.
The tone of your voice said it all there, Becky.
Lesbian. Anyway, it was nice. It was nice being here, you guys. I really had a great time on the stream. I just want to thank everybody who might have watched us while we still had a YouTube channel. You know. But anyway,
that's why I didn't. That's why I wasn't descriptive.
Oh man, this is completely off the rails already. I love it so much.
That's what happened.
Anyway, back to the comic book that we were talking about, like good boys. Uncle Duncan. We don't know a whole lot about him, but he moved out to the Key House with the family, and he's an artist. So at some point he has to take a trip, and during that trip he seems to meet up with his boyfriend. Now, I pretty much do this every episode, but I just want to take a moment and point out how diverse this comic book is without being a pain in the ass about being diverse.
Right.
We have a gay couple getting into a fight with two very butch straight women who hate gay men. And,
the lesbians. The lesbians hate gay men.
The closet lesbians. The closet lesbians in MAGA country up in Massachusetts.
We got a couple. Well, let me, before I say the word, let me look. You know what? Oh, we got a couple of delights in here.
Delights.
Thank you, Dick Masterson, for your great contribution to free speech.
And I tried to see if there was a safe word for lesbian, and when I do that, the machine says you need a word that's actually bad. So I guess lesbian is an okay word.
Oh wow!
You can say lesbian.
I just figured out that I could do this because I'm a boomer, but this actually works out pretty well. Let me just do it correctly.
Oh.
But with the comic layout, check out how that works. The atomic
that's cool.
for the background there, but that actually works out pretty well for the layout of the channel and how we go through stuff. That's nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Learn something new every stream.
Every stream. We're
on the go.
We're doing it live, y'all. Anyway.
Now, I'll say for a gay couple, like, couldn't Duncan choose like a better looking dude? I mean, like, what the hell's this guy looks?
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
No, man.
Like,
let me just fill you in. Full disclosure, I have worked in the technical support industry in my life, where you answer phones for people who have problems with their internet services. And the internet services that I worked for at the time happened to be, how do you say, adult internet services.
Oh Lord.
And
man.
You learn a lot about society with that kind of job. Like there are two kind of prominent, what's the word I'm looking for off the encoder, Ayrton?
Delight.
Yes,
Delight.
there are two kind of delights in the world. There are Twinkies or Twinks, the Hostess product, Twinks for short. And then there are bears like Smokey the Bear and Yogi Bear, but we'll just group them all into a category called bears because they're all hairy and they're all relatively large. Twinks are usually pretty light and skinny, and cream filled most of the time. But that's the
I disavow.
It was great being on YouTube, you guys.
We had a good run there, Church.
4 whole shows, man.
Oh my
I loved
lord.
every minute of it. But
You'll,
that's
you'll find us live in the gulag next week.
that's the kind of diversity that they're showing with the delights in this comic book.
You're gonna be retrained.
But
you know, be the gulag, be retrained, and that way be wholesome.
In all seriousness, the depiction of homosexuality isn't shoved down your throat, so to speak, not to make a rude gesture or anything, but it's not.
Yeah, well, I mean, mainstream media paints this picture like gay dudes are like fit and attractive and all this stuff, but not like in real life. It's you have like these ugly couples. Like, what the hell, man?
Well,
you got butch ass lesbians and ugly ass dudes, like, hugging and
these
hugging
girls
and
aren't necessarily considered lesbians. That's never verified.
Well.
Just implied. They're angry because they're closeted, but anyway, Dodge eventually makes his way to removing his memories from Uncle Duncan, so that he can't really be of issue moving forward.
Yeah. Okay, but looking at these quote lesbians, not lesbians, and one looks like kind of like an uglier version of Anita Sarkeesian. The other one looks like Lucy Green. Is that her name?
Lacey Green.
Lacey Green. There you go.
I avow.
Yeah. I was
But we just kind of get another picture of how the mind key works. Dodge goes in and removes the memory of himself so that he can't be a problem later on. But he makes a crucial mistake, and he leaves the image from where the memory was discovered, the picture that was literally drawn of them walking out of the cave together, unedited. So there's still a memory, however deeply buried, of Dodge and Duncan. So that's going to be important later, but what's also important is that during this process, instead of killing Duncan's boyfriend gets hit by the 2 closeted lesbians in their pickup truck. They just hit him with their car because they're mad at him for being gay.
Yep. Imagine that.
I mean, there's not a whole lot left of this one. I've got a couple more shots. We've got Dodge kissing Kinsey. That's something that happened.
Yeah, she needs to do better about choosing her men. I mean, what the hell?
Yeah, she needs to not put her lips on that thing.
It looks like a 90s goth delay. That's what it looks like. 90s goth delay. Seriously, he has a little soul patch. What's going on with that thing?
Yep.
No.
He has a soul patch and a lip ring.
Yeah, that's totally delay. Oh, totally delight a tree. You know, that's what's going on here.
Delight a tree.
Yes. Delightful.
It's flat out detention. That's what's going on here. It's flat out detention. It's 100% detention. You can't, especially for the 90s. I mean, I guess you get more detention, but you know.
Is this the 90s? I don't remember when this was published. I guess that would actually be important to mention.
I don't think that no, this wasn't made in the 90s, but his character looks like he's from the 90s.
Well, I mean, they do make a crack about him not being able to use a Commodore 64 in this issue.
Yep.
The last computer he used was a Commodore 64 or something like that.
Oh, I thought that was a code word for something. I thought that was a code word for penis. What? Sorry, what?
This comic book is a decade old. It is 2009. So.
Interesting.
let's see here. I showed you the. Oh, yeah, the payoff from the very beginning. The first thing that I mentioned when we were introduced to Rufus is why he's so important to the story, even though he's only been mentioned a few times. When Dodge approaches him with the head key after removing his memory from Rufus's mother, you notice what Rufus doesn't have?
Mm, let me look at that panel again. You're saying when
I've
he
got it
tries
up
to
on
remove
screen.
the memory, what Rufus doesn't have. Let's see. He's playing with
Yeah.
How long should we let them look until they realize they could just look at the Skype call and see it?
I'm
yeah,
just,
right.
however long,
Mhm.
I'm good. Just let them do what they need to do.
Oh, he doesn't. He doesn't have the key thing. He doesn't have that.
Right.
Right. He,
Interesting.
you can open his head up and take stuff out,
Oh,
and it's not implied or explained if that's because of his, you know, his mental disorder, or not mental disorder, but his learning disability or anything like
he was a
that.
downforce because he's a flat out downforce.
I disavow. Um, all of the money made from future endeavors of the Deadman's Tome will go to St. Jude's Children's Hospital, and
I'm not
Special
saying anything
Olympics.
wrong. I said
in
downforce.
in exchange for little popsicle stick stars of David.
Oh man, you're acting like such a effective
Well, that's just a
creationism,
it's just a callback.
effectiveness,
It's just a callback to the
dish,
heel stream.
effector.
I mean, when you do something nice for cancer kids, they should send you popsicle stick stars of David.
I,
They
But
should.
I can avow that statement.
but
I wanna.
we,
I
we
want that. If I got a star David made out of popsicle sticks, I'll be excited. I'll be like, hell yeah, I'll put that on my wall.
right.
Aw.
I'd hang it right above my stove.
Oh,
Mhm.
real quick, Gulf City Cult of Krill in the chat says, "Fuck mundane Matt, I avow." Mrs. Church says that she thought the lip ring on that character was slobber. That's because we have 3 children and we deal with a lot of slobber. Dead man, you can understand.
Yeah, I thought it was drool too. I thought it was
Yeah,
drooling.
right.
Maybe
I
it's
mean,
like special or something. Yeah.
so if there are any questions or if anybody wants to comment on anything in the chat, we can discuss it further. If you guys have any thoughts on this volume, or going forward, how you feel about the story in general, feel free. The floor is open.
Well,
Yeah, don't everybody talk at once. I can't handle.
I
I
felt
can't
that it's
moderate
crap.
all of its voices.
Oh. No. It's good. I will say this one little, I guess, negative thing. Compared to the first volume, the second volume, well, it's trippy and it starts off strong. I kind of feel like I guess the climax at the end is more like a discovery, like a build up, like okay, like in the first volume, that hostage situation was pretty intense, right? It was like, okay, shit, this family is gonna get fucking murdered, like someone's gonna die. But
Right.
here, it's kind of
Mhm.
like it's playing a long game. It's like, okay, we're playing around this head game thing. It's pretty trippy. It's very cool. We're learning something. It's very fun. But what is the deal with Zach? What's he doing here? He's like we know he's like playing dirty. He's fucking shit around. Um,
Well,
so
and
it's like setting up something, and for volume 3. So
exact.
that's
I think that, but I think it also gives a pretty good explanation as to Zach has been part of the Key House for a while. He's been friends
mm,
with the Locke family, and an echo of him survived. past all of them because most of the previous characters we find out died.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
Daddy Locke's first girlfriend in high school that knew about the key house died. Their Asian friend died. Their black friend died.
The black guy always does.
Yeah, in a horror
Yeah.
movie, the black guy always dies. I disavow.
It just happens. It happens, you know?
Uh,
It's
one thing we didn't really touch on, but was kind of important, was that Volume 2 also introduced new auxiliary characters, like the misfit friends of Tyler and Kinsey.
yeah.
So it was kind of a build-up chapter, I think, but I don't think it was any less entertaining. I think that
Oh no, it definitely wasn't less entertaining. Don't get me wrong there. I was just saying like the intensity of the end and volume. If you were to compare like the intensity of it, like I was saying, like towards the end of volume 1, like I was like flip. I was like, oh my god, it's going back from one scene to the next scene. It's like what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Oh, but you know,
Mhm.
let me just interject there because I believe you are on record as stating that you read 1, 3, 4, and 5, and then went back and read 2. So maybe
Right.
knowing what happened after 2 lessened your experience of 2.
Right.
well,
Exactly.
I guess so, but knowing how 2 ends and how 3 begins, like whenever going from 1 to 3, I was like, who's this 90s delay character? What's going on with this guy? He's trying to hang himself. What?
Well, I was trying to figure out what. Hey, no spoilers. You got 2 more appearances before we get into to the end of this book, man. We're gonna stretch this out.
Yeah.
And if we do well enough
Now,
with
don't
that,
you ruin it for me.
if you'd like, afterwards we can get into something else like maybe Preacher, or Hellblazer, or I've got a pretty East of West was another title I thought you might be interested in. That's an old Western tale about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse coming back in a futuristic
Ooh.
society.
That's pretty cool.
That sounds sweet.
Yeah, I've definitely got some stories that I've read through and that I've already gone through and I'm willing to read again that I feel like you guys might be interested in looking at, and definitely
Cool.
Jesse and Becky, if you guys want to do another title after Lock and Key, we can schedule volumes 3 and 4 after the show tonight and going
Okay.
forward.
That's
But what did you guys think of it? Did you enjoy the experience? And just
I enjoyed it. Pretty
kinda-
fun.
I loved
Pretty
it.
fun.
Right, looking
Yeah.
into a modern horror comic, quote unquote.
Yeah. I thought it was really cool.
See, now, I thought there was an interesting philosophical question raised by one of the keys. So, the gender key.
All right, here
If
we
it-
go.
If a dude goes through and turns into a chick, and you don't know, and you bang this chick, is it still gay?
It depends on how hot they
Now,
are.
I would think that gender key. I think that does that gender key change it all the way down to the DNA?
Oh yeah.
Because if so,
Yeah.
Oh
then,
yeah.
then it is. Then yeah,
It is
not
okay.
gay. It is a-okay.
Mhm.
If that vagina isn't made by science, if that vagina doesn't require artificial lube, or
It's
doesn't
made by
require
magic.
hair, you are clear
Oh,
to
man.
go, my friend.
God, it was great being on
That-
YouTube. I really enjoyed it, guys. They're gonna nuke you guys too now, though, so it's fine.
yeah,
We'll be
see,
on
if the
D Live
vagina
next
can
week,
digest-
guys.
Shit.
We're
Next
just
week,
gonna say, any woman who needs a dilation station may not be a.
I disavow. I disavow. I'm gonna clip that out in the final
Lord.
show.
Actually, well, hold on, wait. We got Becky here.
You got the
We got a
Enigma
woman on the stream.
encoder.
There we go. Yes,
Becky,
sir.
do you know what a dilation station is?
that was my nickname in
You-
high school.
That was his nickname in high school. I can attest to that.
I even want to know why? No.
I'm
don't-
sure you could infer.
Yeah, I did. No.
Oh, guys, I appreciate you guys coming out, and this was fantastic. I assume we're going to get ripped off the air anytime now, so I guess we'll just keep going until we do. But
Yeah, I mean,
got a-
the Deadman
got-
Stone podcast is like rated G compared to this. I mean,
Yeah.
this is. I feel free to talk about whatever.
speak your speech, son. But no, I just don't have to avow your speech. But no, I really, like I said, this is one of the few books that I've read that I would actually classify as a pure horror comic. And I think the intricacy of the keys, I mean, especially once you kind of get going and you start getting introduced to like 5 and 6 keys a volume, once that picks up and you start seeing the way they interact with one another and you start uncovering caches of keys and seeing the backstory on how these things, because especially in volume 3, which I think most everybody here has seen, you see the force controlling Dodge, and it kind of gives you a hint that there's something more at play here. The style of the writing itself, I mean, I think it is a good homage to the original Lovecraftian horror tales with, you know, the modern flair and the artistic machismo. But all in all, I mean, what was the rating system we came up with last time, Eric?
Hail failures.
Hail failures, right. On a scale of 0 to 5 hail failures, where do you guys put it? Becky and Jesse, I'll put it on you.
5. Like this is top
Yeah.
notch shit. This is good shit. Like
Okay.
I agree.
All right.
if you had to choose to pick something, definitely pick this. Like this is this is good.
Ayrton, what do you?
Oh
what do you
yeah.
think, sir?
Definitely a 5. This is a fantastic story. If there's anybody looking to get into reading comics, avoid the superhero stuff as much as I love it, and read something like this. This gives
Right.
you a way better like dive into like how creative the writing and art can be in comic books.
Well, let me just put an asterisk on that, because this is definitely not something for younger readers. I mean, I don't think I'd give this to a young teenager.
No.
I think even 13, 14 is still a little young for some of the themes in this book, and
Yeah.
even though you would expect the kids to understand it, I wouldn't necessarily want them to see it drawn out in such graphic detail or have it inferred in such graphic detail. So I mean,
Yeah.
I would say this is definitely a 16 plus comic book. But if you're over the age of 16 and you want to get into reading comics, this is not a very bad first story to pick up.
No, not at all.
I think we're all in pretty mutual agreement then that Locke Key Volume 1 and 2, and the fact that we all kind of give it a 5 out of 5 makes me think that we might have to give it a 6 out of 5 going forward, because it only gets better from here. I've read all of this, and it only gets better from here. And this is one of the things. It's such a great story that I really am upset that they're trying to make a Netflix adaptation of it. Because I know that's gonna be garbage.
It just be on Netflix. Oh, they're gonna fuck it up. Oh
Yeah.
my god. Oh my god. The gender key is gonna be the biggest fuck up. They'll be like, oh my god, see, gender's just a construct. Like, oh my god. All the Twitters, all the Twitter people, all of the hashtag or the blue check marks would be like, but Netflix show is totally like progressive. Oh my god, they get it right.
Yeah, it was revolutionary.
Well,
I don't even think I'd watch it.
Well, just as a as kind of a closing thing, is there anything else you guys want to touch on from these books, or anything else you want to say about the story itself before we start working our way out here?
One thing I could say is it doesn't have any easels. It doesn't have any. We don't have any of that.
What?
I'm sorry, towel heads. You don't have any towel heads in this comic.
There's a lack of Muslims in the in the work. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was an SJW,
the term is
say,
diesel.
Well, they
Diesel.
are in Massachusetts. In 2009. I'm not sure what the population density of Lovecraft, Massachusetts Muslim population was at the time, but
I'm
not
pretty sure it was snow at the time.
So I'm guessing that this is just historically accurate as opposed. And I don't think Lovecraft, Massachusetts is an actual place, but I don't.
No,
think
it's not. It's not actually. It's a fictional town as much as Ismoth, Massachusetts, is a fictional town, which is Lovecraft's fictional town for all his shit.
That might be what it's a nod to then.
Yeah, exactly. That's that
And,
nod right there.
You know, once we get off the air, I want to talk to you guys about the overarching thing since you read so much further ahead. But
you talk about the scene where Cthulhu comes up in tea bags.
Gosh.
Yeah, the marriage between him and Sabrina is a spoiler. We might actually cover
gay.
We might actually cover that comic at a certain point too. The Sabrina the Teenage Witch Archie adult version, where she's an actual witch that summons Cthulhu and marries him to save her people.
Sweet.
But anyway,
this is why I love comic books. They're so batshit crazy sometimes, and I love it.
I dig it.
I'm gonna go ahead and cue up the intro song to play at the outro.
All right.
And keep in mind this is not necessarily the permanent intro song, but this is all the co-host here, Ayrton. And before I play this, I definitely want to thank our guests Jesse and Becky for joining us on this. And again, as long as they will, I'd love to have them back to discuss the other 4 volumes and the bonus content of this, and possibly some other stuff coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, and next time I won't be on call on the for the globalist elite going around snatching up kids.
Hey man, you got to make those.
Don't lie, we know what you were really doing.
You gotta earn those shekels. So I'll go ahead and cue this up for the outro. We got about 7 minutes before I play it. You guys are welcome to stick around, or we can let you go, and me and Eric can wrap it up, or however you want to do it.
Doesn't matter.
Well, you can hit me up for anytime you want to buy some midgets. I'll be selling my midgets.
Oh, okay. We'll put a link to that in the description of the video for you. I'll have to keep you now. Yeah, you guys have to stay on now for 7 minutes. But no, one thing I do want to talk about real quick, just in the last 5 minutes, Ayrton. I was talking to some people on Twitter in DMs, and they were giving us some advice about how to do the show, and maybe some topics to cover. And somebody actually couldn't believe that you and I had no idea who one another were before we did a show together. Like we literally spoke for 15 minutes on Discord and then went live on YouTube after a Twitter comment, because I went live by myself one night, and I was like, I need somebody to talk to. This is crap.
and I just happened to be a smartass at the right time.
So I guess that actually opens the floor up. Jesse and Becky, Love Connection time.
Mm-hmm.
How did you guys actually come together to do the podcast?
Well,
I was
doing
guest.
Yeah,
Go
Becky
ahead.
was a guest. Becky was a guest,
Okay.
and it works better when you have someone to bounce ideas off of, to
Right.
talk to. Otherwise, you're just you talking by yourself. Which, I mean, if you're gonna do that, you better have a good personality. I mean, you better be someone who's like like a Bill Burr, or someone who can keep
Right.
that shit entertaining for a little bit anyway.
And you and I, neither one really have that kind of charisma. I mean,
No,
we're both,
it burns out real fast.
I mean, we're both flatter than Coke that's been open for 3 weeks.
Yeah. So shows without a guest, it's like, when I have a guest, when it was just me, I felt like I was doing like a Joe Rogan thing, where it's just like, just talking, chilling, just pretty much was. But then when I get Becky or someone else on, it was like, okay, now I feel, I don't know, I have someone in there with me,
Right.
kind of ask different questions and another perspective. And really, it just sort of happened, like, I feel like Becky actually offers a lot of value to the show in that one, I mean, not because she's just a woman, but it's like, now I can get away with saying some crazy things.
Doesn't
That's
being
the real reason why he asked me.
doesn't being a woman actually take points away usually? I mean, that's
Oh.
impressive if being a woman
Not-
is a positive. I'm just fucking with you.
Well,
I disavow
yeah,
myself.
I mean, I can
mansplain.
mansplain.
Oh, you can mansplain. Do you have to change into your mansplaining suit?
No, he just doesn't wear pants all the time, so it doesn't really matter.
No. They're velour pants in the mansplaining suit. You don't understand. It's an entire ensemble.
Oh shit.
Some
Damn
patent
it.
leather shoes, a big hat with a feather.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Gator shoes,
Uh-huh.
son. Gator
That's
shoes.
where you got the nickname, Big Daddy J.
Yep, that's it. Yeah.
But
I get it.
Oh shit! Is that the timer? What is that? Is it a? Oh
We're gonna blow up.
yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
god.
But no, like I said, I've got a couple of other titles that we can talk about, and we might even do like a poll, a mutual poll between our selective audiences, and I would be more than happy to split the shows up, and we can come on your show and do this on your channel, and bring our 3 to 5 viewers over there. And
Yeah, and we could bring our 3 to 5 viewers over here.
there you go.
Yeah.
And
Double our
and
audience.
We can
get
share
both
'em.
But
and we'll get both shows kicked off of YouTube in just a week.
Yeah,
so.
well.
oh wait, yeah, that's a good reason to possibly do it over here. If you want to keep your monetization in any sense of the word, that is a thing. I didn't think about that. What the word I'm looking for?
We got this great slur machine, which is cool. I can even reference this because
Yeah, I'm not.
doesn't the
using slur
URL
machine. I'm
change?
just
The
gonna use
URL
the
changes,
slurs.
doesn't it?
Oh yeah, every day the code changes.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. This is a great gift.
It is. It is. I mean,
I
we-
cannot wait to tell everybody I know about this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, this
Oh.
is. As soon as I found out about it, I told everyone that was in my office about it as well. I was just like, finally.
I mean, everyone. Now I can.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying. Now I can use words the way I want. Like,
Oh Lord.
it'd be great. And our guest, Becky, our guest would have no idea. I'm always nice to guests anyway.
All right, Jesse. Let me play the outro music and let's get off the air before
Okay.
I literally get snatched down by YouTube. All right, guys. I appreciate everybody coming out. We appreciate you coming by the Gospel of Comics, and
Yeah,
we definitely,
thanks, guys. It was fun.
we definitely 100% appreciate our guest Jesse and Becky for coming on and shooting the shit with us for a couple hours about Locke Key.
Oh, it was a great delight. It was a great delight being on the
Yeah,
show.
absolutely. Delight.
And without further ado, here we go. Fucking great delight.
He's so bad.
It's great delight. Yeah.
That was priceless. That was really good.
Well, every now and then I have one. So there you go.